Hi Kai, Michelle here. I wanted to give you some feedback on your editing of the immigration stories. And we're looking at Katie's right now. And I think overall the choices you made were good. Um, this sentence was really kind of I guess I was more interested in reworking this part. He had gotten all he possibly could out of its theater experience. Um, I mean, that's just kind of a long, clunky sentence, but I think the way you change it was fine, but I'm going to show you another way in a minute. Um, so yeah, instead of saying a little bit, just made it easier. Having chosen to name themselves. Um, We're not totally sure, isn't sure, most important, biggest, yes, all of those are good. So good job on that. I'm going to stop here and go to my version so I can talk to you about some other things that I noticed. Okay, so a couple of things. In the lead, she used two hyphens, and you really actually need to go in and do an M dash, which you just actually go into, let me show you real quick. You go here into special characters and put in the M dash. Unfortunately, that's kind of the only way you can do it, which is kind of a pain, but that's how it needs to look. So let's go back. The other thing was his dreams were far more expansive and a little more unique. So you don't really want the comma there because that all is modifying his dreams. His dreams were expansive and his dreams were a little more unique. So you don't need the comma there. We do need to say who would become my great-great-grandfather because you know, when he was an aspiring opera singer, he wasn't her great-great-grandmother. Okay, so here's how I changed this. After he rose to some notoriety in his hometown, his home country of Norway. Okay, here's how I changed it. He had risen to some notoriety in his home country of Norway, but realized that to have a richer musical career, he'd have to go somewhere bigger to pursue his great dream. I think that just shortens it considerably. And, it says the same thing without kind of that burdensome clause. Again, the couple is the subject here, so they boarded the boat and landed, so you don't need that comma there. You don't need November of, just November 1904. Here was a case where having chosen to name themselves after a town on their Norwegian coast where they were from. That's kind of long. Why don't we just say chosen to name themselves after their hometown on the Norwegian coast? Can I change that so we could say who would become my great-grandfather? Yeah, this was kind of a weird sentence. So Artie had as normal of a childhood as a kid can living in the diverse and chaotic New York City could. So I just took out the could. Where he met Ellen Feldman. I took out the great Nana because, of course, she wasn't at that point, and it's pretty clear if he was the great grandfather that she would be. Moved to Kansas City, where Artie worked at North American Aviation, where he made. It's okay, but I thought, just to get rid of the second where, we could just say where Arnie worked as an engineer at North American Aviation making B-25 bombers. Okay, sadly, I never got to meet Arnie. I never got to hear about paying his way through college. Okay, but she did, obviously. So I think what she means is I never got to hear him tell about how he paid his way through college, or hear him talk about how he charmed, it should be Ellen, not my Ellen, so much that she decided to leave the man she was engaged to. I never got to hear him talk about what it was like. Because she did hear these things, obviously. She's just listed them. That's just a technicality, but something you need to kind of work around. I just changed that to Trump. You can easily look at these changes by going into the revisions and just comparing them. So I compared my latest with your latest. So that's pretty easy for you to do if you want to look at these more carefully. Otherwise, she had mentioned TSA. Her grandmother worked for TSA, which I question because there, to my knowledge, is no TSA Airlines, and so I asked Katie, and it's TWA. So I'll fix that, but that's kind of an example of where you need to double check things. Okay, TSA, what does that stand for? Look it up. Well, it stands for what we think it does. It doesn't stand for an airline. Although there was an airline in the 80s, it wasn't in existence then. So those are really good things to catch. Okay, I'm going to go to the next story now. Okay, actually, I'm going to end this one and take a break and then come back to the other story. And then I will post this on Canvas.